My story this morning comes out of MJ Biz, and it's written by Michael Braunstein. And the headline is Clarifying Congressional Intent for THC is a Necessary Step Towards Marijuana Reform. And my knee-jerk with that was, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Now, inside of this story, there are some, I invite you, please read it, but some of the highlights of this were back when the 2018 Farm Bill was being marketed before Congress, all these senators and congressmen were told this was about rope and not about dope. Couldn't have been more wrong. There is no intent to legalize products manipulated to get consumers high. Congress didn't intend that, and that's exactly what we've got right now. Congress didn't want to deal with marijuana through the Farm Bill. They don't want to have to fix the Schedule 1, the rescheduling, the legalization of this through the Farm Bill. They want somebody else to do this besides these agricultural committees in Congress. And because they use the term derivatives in the Farm Bill, it opened up this huge loophole and can of worms. And now there's a lot of people in the industry who argue that the derivative language justifies unregulated hemp intoxicants, which it doesn't. But they're arguing that because they're all over the damn place right now. Now, there's a 5-year review process for the Farm Bill, and it's back in the Ag Committee. But what's pointed out is this Ag Committee does not have the authority to fix this problem. There are multiple agencies involved, the DEA, the FDA, the USDA, and this committee doesn't have the authority to tell any of these agencies how to handle this. It's got to go back to Congress. And synthetic THC is and will remain Schedule 1. No matter what they do with rescheduling, the DOJ and the DEA is clear that these synthetic THCs are going to stay in Schedule 1. Now, what's happening here in California is something they talk about in this article, is that states need to step up and step into this, and the Congress and the federal government needs to allow them and give them authority to do this. The 10th Amendment gives the states the right to do this, to handle these synthetics and all these other derivatives coming out of the hemp world. And THC, natural or synthetic, needs a single regulatory system. Now, that I agree with, but I don't see that Congress has the stomach or the will to try to deal with this right now. And I know I've said on this show multiple times, this problem goes way, way back when hemp was called hemp before anybody knew how to objectively quantify hemp. And when Dr. Meshulam in 1963 identified THC, all of a sudden they wanted to use THC as the metric, excuse me, to try and legally identify hemp. And what I don't think they anticipated is what the organic chemists were able to do with these cannabinoids. Now, I have represented clients who were turning CBD into Delta-9. And I've talked with the biochemists who were doing this, and it was fascinating what they're able to do with synthesis and chemicals and these chambers that adjust the temperature and the pressure inside of them. And voila, you turn something that produced from the hemp plant into Delta-9. This is a synthetic Delta-9. But what I think is mind-boggling to me is Congress did not seem to bring in these biochemists who were able to manipulate cannabinoids and turn them into intoxicating products, and then identify that we want to control this. They used a term like derivatives, which now is being used to identify all these other plant products, and they are totally out of control. So I'm hopeful that if they do come back and readdress this, that they bring in the biochemists who are synthesizing this stuff, who are manipulating these cannabinoids to produce Delta-8 and THCO and all these other products that, in fact, are intoxicating, and come up with language that grabs all of these different products and brings them into a controlled, regulated market. Because if we don't do that, these loopholes, I mean, the job of attorneys is look for loopholes, and they found them here. And people are making a shit ton of money right now on these synthetic intoxicating hemp products. And this could have been avoided. In hindsight's always 2020, but it could have been avoided had people in Congress actually listened to scientists and come up with language that would prevent this from getting out in the unregulated market. I don't know that I'm hopeful enough that Congress will do this, especially since they're still kind of waiting for this rescheduling decision to be made. I don't think anybody wants to step into this, but irrespective of changing plant natural Delta-9 THC from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3, it's not going to fix this synthetic derivative market that produces intoxicating products that are THC-like molecules. This is just, it's mind-boggling how, looking back, how stupid people were or how much they were lobbied to not pay attention to things that are obvious problems coming up. I'm going to throw this back at you guys. What do you think about this?
I cannot wait. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but I certainly can't wait to see these congressional hearings where they're bringing experts up and getting deep into the minutia of cannabis plant chemistry. But I'm not going to be holding my breath for that to happen because I don't think it's happening anytime soon.
Nothing's going to change in the Farm Bill. Nothing is going to change. I'm not anticipating any change. Zero.
Wow. Sums it up.
Well, California recently, as you know, drafted emergency regulations to try and deal with this.
Yeah.
We're going to age rate this. Everything's going to have to be regulated now. And I'm hoping that if Congress is not going to act, they're going to get out of the way of the states to try and wrap their arms around this. Because I don't think anybody intended for hemp to be turned into the new marijuana.
Congress is not going to do that, Dale. I mean, the Senate lead sponsor on the Farm Bill out of Oregon, he has already stated that he is not for any degression of the Farm Bill.
Well, that's good that he said it, but there's more than one person who gets to weigh in on that, Jason.
I understand.
I mean,
he's a lead sponsor. His word carries a lot more weight than a lot of others.
And that's wonderful. How many lead sponsors have we seen?
You have to get a House version and a Senate version, so that means that there isn't going to be anything flying out of the Senate version.
Very good, Jason. Very good, Jason. But he's not the end-all, be-all, unfortunately. And I know that you love the Farm Bill. I know.
Didn't say he was.
Oh God, you just keep talking.
I mean, so you keep talking.
I'm just gonna let you. I'm gonna let you talk to yourself.
Okay, sounds good. Love talking to myself. Amazing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, short of something, some incident happening where somebody gets in a car crash and they try to blame it on, synthetic Delta 10 or Delta 8 or a mass shooter has some Delta 8 product in his like where they try to pin it on that. Short of that happening, I don't see any impetus for Congress to pass emergency legislation to deal with this quickly. Like they're just not going to do it.
I mean, they just blame it on weed because they just classify it all as weed. We have seen them try to do those.
That's unless they find an actual Delta 10 product somewhere. Like I don't know, they go to this kid in Tennessee's house and they find it.
They're not going to do that because that's going to go over way too many people's heads. They're just going to call it a weed product so they can just smear weed.
Unless they're specifically going to use it to target these other hemp-derived cannabinoids that you could buy in a Texas smoke shop or a Georgia smoke shop, that didn't come from a dispensary.
I don't see that.
I don't know if that's going to happen. But I'm saying short of an event that gets people and gets the public outraged about these products, there's no way it's going to happen anytime soon.
Fair enough. And on that, we're going to go to a commercial.
States are going to continue to push this forward, which I think is the only avenue available to us. Continue the pressure, wrap our arms around this. Listen, it's not that difficult to identify what is cannabis sativa, which we call marijuana. It's not that difficult to identify it. It's all these other products that leak out that have to be dealt with. And the states are going to take action until Congress decides it's time to do something. And of course, we've been waiting for this for decades. And I'm not holding my breath that they're going to actually get somewhere. And I'm hopeful that some presidential candidate might, make this an agenda item to fix this, although I'm not holding my breath about that either.